Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today I just got a stack of penny coins from Australia. I think I actually can see a half penny coin in there too. And we got a number of years here. So I just like to kind of go through them and see what we've got here. So let me put this down. I will change the zoom a little bit. I'll move these coins around and let's start with this. Okay, let's start with this one because this is a very interesting one. This is a 1936 one penny coin from the Commonwealth of Australia. So you'll note that it doesn't have the kangaroo, which is so famous, on it, and it doesn't have the new 1 cent coins, or of course the 1 cent coins aren't being used anymore, which has the pygmy gliding possum on it. It just has this Commonwealth of Australia, 1 penny in the center, this kind of scrolls here, 1936. And if we know 1936, then we can kind of guess who's on the front of this coin, and that, of course, would be Queen Elizabeth's grandfather, or George VI's father, or George V. So let's take a look. And there he is. There's George V. And we look at this coin, we see it says, Brit on Rex, King of all Britons, Defender of the Faith, Imperator of India, or Emperor of India, Georgius the Fifth. And if we tip it, so there that's a much better light, and you can kind of see that this is the crowned image of George V, which was the same that was on this 1 penny coin from 1911 until 1936. And of course 1936 is the year I believe that he died. It was the last year they made this particular coin. So the 1936 coin, they made 9.9 million of them, so they made a lot, and they made them all at the Melbourne Mint. Now, so if it's 1936, let's see if we can find another one of those. Here's a 1920, so it'll have the same George V on it. This one, if you look at this, you can see that it is has been cleaned. And if you want to clean your coins, feel free, but I got to tell you that most collectors don't want a cleaned coin. And when you do clean a coin, see all these little lines that are on there? The acid actually etches these lines in, and it just kind of, not only does it take off the wear in, the kind of the toning of the coin, but it also takes off some of the coin, and that's why collectors don't want these. But because we have this one, and I wanted to show you, I also wanted to show you something down here, because down here in this coin, you can clearly see the engraver's initials down here, and the engraver was E.B. McKennell. And so so you have you can see the B in the McKennell, and it was Edgar Bertram McKennell, E.B. McKennell, and that's, so you can see that right down here. This is just a dent of some kind. So we have Bertram McKennell's initials. That's the 1920. I saw another one of these in the pile. I'm going to see if I can find it. And we are in luck. And I think that's why they sent me these. They sent me the first and last one. So 1911 was the first year that they had George V on the coin. After his father, I believe it was Edward, died. Commonwealth of Australia, 1911. So from 1911 until 1936, we had this specific coin, the first and last year. So that's why they sent these to me, because it's kind of indicative of the first and last penny of George VI. But there's also something else interesting about this particular penny, and that is this penny in 1911 was made at the London Mint, and the 1936 penny was made at the Melbourne Mint. So this is a London Mint coin. This is a Melbourne Mint coin, 1911 and 1936, and that's George V. Now we also had some other coins in here. Let's see if we can kind of go through. Here's one. Look at that. That's a 1939. And that's a 1939 kangaroo. And of course, by 1939, we're talking about a different king who'd come up in 1938 first on the coins. So from 1938 to 1948, this coin was made. Again, it's a penny, but this time it's a KG. And those of you familiar with Canadian coins know George Kruger Gray, the KG, who was famous for making the maple leaf and the $1 engraving on the Canadian coins. Now, George Kruger Gray made this coin. These coins from 1938 until 1948 of this particular vintage were made in Perth, Melbourne, and Bombay. If we look up 1939, we see that this is a Melbourne mint, and of course when we flip it over we see, again, it almost looks like somebody tried to clean this coin too, doesn't it? George VI, DG, Brit Omrex, King of all Britons, Defender of the Faith, Ind Imp, Emperor of India here. Now, George V, these coins were made, this particular coin was made from 1938 to 1948. I mean, George VI, I'm sorry, and there's the 6. But he actually served after that, and so we're going to keep looking as we go through these to see if we can see the next version of this coin. So there's a 39, and then we get our first one from World War. Britain had just started entering in 1939, World War II. Then, of course, Australia was in World War II in 1941. So by 1941, they had ramped up a little bit just in case the war got worse. And so they made 12.8 million of these. They just made a lot of them. This one here is worth about 75 cents, even though it's really old. And there's the KG, which is wearing out here. Again, we have the Southern Star. We have the kangaroo jumping towards the left, 1941. And we have George VI on here. And then underneath, let's talk about who did the front. And so George VI portrait was engraved by, you see there's an HP, and that's, of course, Thomas Humphrey Paget. HP. So if you see the HPs, you know that it's a Thomas Humphrey Paget engraving. 40, we have a 43. We hit 43, and look at this. There's a dot here and a dot here. Some of you know that some coins in Australia were made in the United States at the San Francisco Mint, but none of these pennies were. The dot dot on this one from 1943, if it's a dot before and a dot after, it is the Melbourne Mint. Oh, wait a second, I'm sorry. It's the Bombay Mint. Yeah, so that's right. This is the Bombay Mint, and you can also tell it's the Bombay Mint because it has the I. So look at that. So they put an I under here, and can anybody guess what I might have stood for? India, of course. So while they didn't make any Australian coins, any Australian pennies in the United States, they did make this particular penny at the Bombay Mint. And to see the difference, I'll show you the 1942 penny. And the 1942 penny only has one dot after it, and you'll see it won't have an I underneath. And if it's a penny with two dots after it, like in 1943, that's Bombay. If it just has one dot after it, like this 1942, then it's going to be from the Perth Mint. So 2 dots equals Bombay with the I on the front. 1 dot equals Perth. Let's see if we can find some other ones here. Here's the 1944. So again, now we know the deal, right? 1944, we just have 1 dot here. There should be no I on the front. And that means that this coin was made at the Perth Mint in 1944, just the height of World War II. They made 27.8 million of these pennies at the Perth Mint in 1944. They made a bunch. The next one is another 1944, and we'll see this one again has the same dot. This is not a double dot. This is just got messed up a little bit. But there's the single dot. After that, it went on essentially until 1948, and then there was a change. And so what I wanted to do is show you the 1949 one to show you what the change was. In 1948, India gained its independence, so we had to the British had to take off, or the United Kingdom had to take off end imp from the front. And so they had Thomas Humphrey Paget's engraving, but they changed it. So now this says Georges the Sixth, DG Brit Om Rex Fidei Def. Instead of FD, which you have over here, they spelled it all out and they took the end imp off, because by 1949 on this coin, he was no longer the Emperor of India. So when I said this set was only made through 1948, that is because of the end imp on it. George VI was still king, of course, until 1952. And so let's look at the 1952 well, let's look at the 1951 first. There's the 1951. So in 1951, Australia was still having a hard time recovering from World War II, and the economy was not great yet. It wasn't great anywhere in 1951, really. And so when this coin was made, pennies were very valuable and used all the times to buy stuff. This wasn't, the modern penny, which has very little value. They made 21.2 million of these at the Melbourne Mint, and then they made some with a dot after it. And if you have a dot after it, that means it was made at the Perth Mint in 1951. They only made 12.9 million there. They're worth about the same, about $1 plus. Dot after is Perth Mint. No dot after is this one, which is the Melbourne Mint. Now let's get to 1952. So here's the 1952, and of course the famous thing about the 1952 is it's the last one that was made with George VI on it. This is the year that he died, and you can really see the KG here. No dot on the 1952 means that it was made at the Melbourne Mint. If there's a dot afterwards, it would be made at the Perth Mint. And you can clearly see there's no dot here. I don't know where I'm looking. So what happened next? Well, next in 1953, of course, Queen Elizabeth II became queen, and we switched over to this one. And there it is. This is just a beautiful coin. Look at the toning on that. And so Queen Elizabeth II's coin, slightly different. She faces the opposite way of her father. So let's get these out of here so we can actually have them facing each other. George VI faced left, Queen Elizabeth faced right. This is the Mary Gillick first portrait with the laureate crown with the tied bow here. It says Elizabeth II, Dea Gracia, Regina. So Queen is Regina, King is Rex. And again, the same smooth edge, and again, the same back. And this one, of course, has the dot. And we've already kind of figured out that if it does have a dot, it's going to be the Perth Mint, even in 1955. And then finally, we saw some smaller, let's look at this. This is too small, though, isn't it? Now, many of you know that Australia does not have the 1 penny and 2 penny coin anymore. They're not making anymore. People tell me from Australia, you can still use these if you want. Somebody might take them. This is the 1971 1 cent coin when they have gone to decimalization. And the 1 cent coin, they actually stopped making it stopped using it in 1992, but people tell me you still could use it if you really wanted to try. Some people will take them. But the other small one I was thinking of was the 1 halfpenny coin. And so they threw a couple halfpenny coins in here. This is a 1943 halfpenny. Again, George Kruger Gray. Again, the jumping in a different direction kangaroo. And again, look at the toning on this one. Same kind of exterior and same end imp, because we know it's before 1948. It's a halfpenny. And then here's another one, a 1939, with a totally different kind of toning on it. This one may have come from a set, would be my guess. It could have been cleaned also, but I don't think so, just because the way that the toning stays on there. So I think it may have been a set that somebody broke up, or maybe somebody just saved it for years and never used it. This is what would happen if you used it all the time. And this, of course, is a 1939. What's on the back, though? Oh, my goodness. Look at that. In 1939, there's a halfpenny here. Guess what? This is a British halfpenny. That's why they threw a British halfpenny in here, or a Great Britain halfpenny, or United Kingdom halfpenny. But guess who did this? Thomas Humphrey Paget is the one that did a British halfpenny, the same guy that did the King George V portrait. So there's the HP. There's the HP on a British halfpenny. So they threw in a British halfpenny, which is quite different, as you can tell, from the Australian halfpenny, even though we have the same guy on the front and virtually the same text. George VI, DG, Brit Rex, FD, Ind, Imp. So these could be confused if you didn't pay attention to turning it over and saying that this is the United Kingdom halfpenny. And this one says Australia on it. It's the Australian halfpenny. This, of course, is the new penny. And that's about it for us. Let's just kind of bring them all in here and stack them all up. Thanks for watching the DC Coin World International Coin Channel, and thanks for these coins. I'm not going to say who got them to me, but that was a great gift, and it's been nice going through them.